Step aside, John Wick. There's a new super assassin in town, and he's a total nobody. Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad's Bob Odenkirk stars in a new action thriller that finally answers the age-old question of what if Saul Goodman was a trained killer? Nobody explodes on the scene March 26th, and today we've got everything you need to know about the film. So check it out to learn about its great cast, some fun behind-the-scenes tidbits, and if this could possibly be a secret John Wick spinoff.
Let's do this.
When you first think of Bob Odenkirk, you don't necessarily think action star, but all that might change with the release of Nobody. The 58-year-old actor is mostly known for his comedic and dramatic chops, but he's never been in a situation where he's gotten to seriously kick butt before. That all changes with Nobody, the new action thriller. It stars Odenkirk as a seemingly mild-mannered suburban dad going through a midlife crisis who fears his wife and son no longer respect him as a man. When thieves break into their house, Odenkirk's Hutch Mansell hesitates to fight back and defend his family, which only causes his family to turn against him more. As it turns out, there's a reason for his hesitancy. Earlier on in his life, he was known as an auditor, which the trailer describes as the last guy anyone wants to see at their door because it meant you didn't have long to live. But he left it all behind to start a family and live a normal suburban existence. But the pent-up rage over feeling helpless makes Hutch angry enough to jump to the defense of a woman getting harassed on a bus, and his actions lead to his past catching up to him when his enemies realize he's still alive. And hey, if the whole past super assassin trying to live a normal life but gets drawn back into the world of other super assassins sounds a little too similar to the other Super Assassins franchise that is John Wick, well, there might be a good reason for that. More on that in a bit. First, though, we have to talk about this awesome cast and crew. Obviously, front and center is Bob Odenkirk, but the rest of the ensemble has filled out nicely. You have Connie Nielsen as Odenkirk's wife, and given we've seen her be a warrior in Wonder Woman, here's hoping Nielsen gets in on the action a bit. The Wu-Tang Clan's RZA plays Odenkirk's half-brother, and the legendary Christopher Lloyd plays their father. All three of the family members seem to be in the business in some way, and be sure to be on the lookout for all three of them fighting bad guys together. Man, if you told me a year ago we'd see RZA, Doc Brown, and Saul Goodman killing bad guys on screen together, I'd have called you crazy. But let's step behind the scenes for a moment. Directing the movie is Aya Nashuler, who is best known for directing the experimental action thriller Hardcore Henry. You remember that one? It was an action movie that was all set from the main character's point of view. But even more interesting is the writer of this film. Derek Kolstad takes the reins for the movie, and he's quickly becoming the hottest action writer in Hollywood. Kolstad shot to fame writing the first two John Wick movies, and now he's working on fleshing out the whole John Wick universe by writing spin-offs like the upcoming Acolyte movie as well as the Continental TV series. Other than John Wick, Kolstad is announced as the writer for the upcoming Just Cause adaptation, as well as working on a Hitman TV series. He's also been tapped to write a few episodes of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so yeah, the dude writes a ton of action. But does all his John Wick projects actually point to nobody having a secret John Wick connection? When the writer's filmography is a majority John Wick spin-offs, as well as the fact that the story for Nobody is almost an exact copy of John Wick, then of course you start asking some questions. Could Nobody actually be set in John Wick's world? If the two films have no connection whatsoever, then that's kind of strange. Their plots are so similar to each other that if Derek Kolstad wasn't writing this movie, you'd accuse it of being basically a ripoff of John Wick's gimmick. Plus, if there's no connection, then you have to wonder about Kolstad's writing when his two movies that he's written have basically the same story. But if at the end there's a reference to John Wick in some way, that makes this project totally fascinating. It opens up the John Wick world by introducing a new type of assassin called Auditors, as well as tease a possibility for John Wick and Hutch to team up or fight each other down the line. Imagine if the John Wick franchise is trying to build up an MCU-like universe with a big crossover at the end between John Wick, Nobody, and the upcoming Acolyte. Sure, the big reason why this is most likely not a John Wick spin-off is because the studios behind John Wick and Nobody are different, with one being Universal and one being Lionsgate. Overall, I'm excited for this movie and to see Bob Odenkirk get an interesting new starring role. Hey, I'm just saying, I love Better Call Saul and think it's actually superior to Breaking Bad, but I would like it even more if Saul Goodman busted out some of these moves to take on Gus Fring and the cartel, wouldn't you? Thanks for watching.
Better safe than sorry, that's my motto. This doesn't make us even, because after all, you came to my house.